Good morning, my loves. Happy Saturday. It's about 5 a.m. here at the lake. Still dark out, of course. This is interesting. This is probably a must-watch, must-share if you have kids, your parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle. Yeah, it's good. We're talking parenting, co-parenting, and family dynamics, also known as the shit show, because that is what it can be. I wish people would understand when you're dating somebody. Because I was a single parent. You don't realize and you don't think, especially when you're young, that even if you're on the pill, I was on the pill when I conceived my son, things happen. Pregnancies still happen. Condoms break. You don't put the condom on soon enough. Maybe you're not on the right strength of birth control. Whatever, babies happen. We see that. As soon as that egg and that sperm shake hands and says, we got a deal here, from that moment to the end of your life, you're co-parenting. Seriously. You will be a parent from that moment forward. People don't think about that. You need to. It goes so far beyond child support. And I know you see shows like, Maury Povich and Karamo. I think the world of Karamo. He's a great individual. But there's so much more than, you are the father, you are the mama, whatever. You have to think about this. I don't care if you're married or not married. You like each other or you don't like each other. That's not the child's problem. The two of you are adults, and you have to always behave as adults. Always. You never have the child as a pawn against each other, against the families. No. The two of you have to be a united front at all times. You never argue in front of the child. There's never an ugly word said about each other. If you're not married, who you're dating, family members. No, that's not going to happen. And you don't allow your family to speak poorly of the other person or their family around the child either. Yeah, that's not allowed, ever. My son's father, by his choice, was not in the picture. I have never, and my son's 45, I have never said one bad word about this man. And I won't. I have never said one bad word about his family. And I won't. I will not allow my family members to say anything negative about him or his family. That's my son's father. You will respect that. Now that's just a Brenda thing. Because that's part of who my son is. And you're not going to put my son down like that. You're not going to insult him. I know who his father is, of course. He is, and he knows that my son exists. And I'm not going to go into any personal stuff, but he's a good guy. He really is a good guy. And we handle it the way we handle it. That nobody's going to be insulting. If you don't like who your ex is dating, well, that's their problem, not yours. As long as your child is safe and being respected, that's your problem. If they're not hurting your child, insulting your child, disrespecting your child in any way, it's really none of your business. Stay out of it. And you might have to think, maybe you're just a little bit jealous. You're not with him anymore. You're out of that part of the picture. You were strictly co-parenting. Co-parenting, that starts with vaccinations. You should both go to the baby's doctor visits. Even if you're not married, I don't care. Go to the wellness check. Go. Be there for the vaccinations. You need to experience that. The doctors need to know and to see that the two of you parent together and you do this well. I want to bring in at this point generational issues. You are a product of your parents, okay? Each of your parents, your mom and your dad, are a product of their parents, who are a product of their parents. And think of how your grandparents raised your mom and dad. In my situation, my mother was raised in a horribly toxic environment. Horrible. It was awful. My dad, on the other hand, growing up, they didn't have much, but they had each other and they had a house full of love. And you can't put money on that. I mean, oh my gosh, I wish everybody could experience that type of family love and devotion that my dad's family had. It's just amazing. And my parents were exact opposites. And that's reflected in me, because when I had my son, single parent, my dad, it was so important to Daddy, Brenda, you need to get married. You know, he needs a daddy. Well, because my dad was raised with such love, he wanted my son to be enveloped in that kind of environment, a supportive, loving environment with a mom and a dad. On the other hand, my mom, who was raised in a toxic environment, and she was a rather toxic individual. No, she was very manipulative, very controlling, she could be very nice, but she was not always the nicest person. And that was hard on me because I didn't have anybody to co-parent, but my parents were very active in my child's life. My dad he was a wonderful grandpa. He was amazing. My mom was a good grandmother, but she was very controlling and very toxic. And I had to contend with that. So, as a parent, you have to deal with all of these dynamics, thus the shit show. You have to deal with all of this. So whether you are a two-parent family or you're co-parenting, you are still having to deal with grandparents and aunts and uncles and their opinions and their voices, their temperaments. And you have to build boundaries. If they don't agree, the two of you are co-parenting. And I know this is going to run long, and I'm sorry, but it's important. The two of you are co-parenting, okay? That's between you, the other parent. That's it. It has nothing to do with the grandparents. They have no voice in this. None. And you have to have a boundary. You have to be strong enough to say, this is between us. I appreciate your opinion. Thank you. And leave it at that. Seriously. And it's hard because you can deal with very, very overbearing people, very, very manipulative people. People who are passive aggressive, people that are what do I want to say? A word, I need more coffee, honey. They are just underhanded and sneaky with how they go about things. And just beware. Just beware. And the importance of making those boundaries and keeping them strong. If they are going to be a negative influence on the child, you and whoever you're parenting with have to realize we have toxic family members. We need to keep them at arm's length from our child. And if they're going to be around the child, you have to be right there too. For me, my parents were smokers. You were not allowed to smoke around my child. My dad was respectful of that. My mother wasn't. I raised 4 kids. You can't tell me. My son, and she would babysit my son when I was at work, when he was little. And he had continual ear problems and throat problems because he was exposed to a lot of secondhand smoke. Yeah. Boundaries. You have to build a boundary. So, you and whoever you're parenting with decides on vaccinations. That's between you and them. Leave the parents out of it. You decide on religion. the religion you want the child raised in. Maybe you're going to raise the child in 2 religions. That's beautiful. Do that. That's wonderful. The grandparents stay out of it. If the child goes to church, if you share custody and 1 week they're with you and the next week they're with the other parent, and they go to church with you 1 week and they go to synagogue or mosque with the other parent the next week, wonderful. Support that. Allow the child to embrace their heritage. Allow them to embrace both religions. Absolutely, positively embrace that. United front. The more you can envelop the families and include them, the better the child is going to be. They can step into their authenticity and be proud of who they are, to stand tall and proud in who they are as a child, as a member of both families. But you have to keep the toxic family members in check, and you have to maintain boundaries. It's not easy. I have faith in you. You can do this. It goes as far as education, private schools, public schools, religious schools. Co-parent. When your child is about 4 years old, even 3 years old, as soon as they're old enough to help make their bed and pick up toys and put dirty laundry in the hamper, you need to start having family meetings. Even if you're not with the parent, the other parent, sit down once a month and have a family meeting and talk about the importance of being helpful and picking up your toys and making your bed. And if you're good, we're going to go to the park. You can do stickers, if you get, 6 stickers out of 7, during the week. On the weekend, we go to the zoo, we go to the park. If it's the other parent's, child for that weekend, you're on the same page, and there's still going to be the same rules in both houses. That's important. I have a lot of friends who co-parent just amazing, and I'm really, really proud of them. I have a friend back in St. Louis, Sean. He and his ex make a point of living within a few blocks of each other. Their daughter wanted to take piano. They both got a piano to support her. They both go to their son's soccer games, and they both support each other and their lives. And they haven't been together for many years, but they co-parent together. And I love that. It can be done. It's putting aside your ego and embracing your child and supporting and nurturing your child. And that's what it's all about. I don't care if you don't like the other parent. You're mad at them. I don't care. It's not about them. It's about your child. It's about what is important to your child. I don't care if you don't like their mother, their father, their sister, their brother, they're troublemakers, they gossip. Whatever. What is important is that child. Now, I cannot emphasize this enough. The 2 of you have to sit down and you have to agree. When your child comes to either of you and says, someone has touched me, someone has approached me, someone has said or done something, they make me feel weird, you never question that. You believe your child. I don't care if it's a grandparent. I don't care if it's an aunt, an uncle, your brother, your sister, a family friend that you've known forever. I don't care. Your loyalty is to your child, not to the abuser. You don't say, oh, I don't think so, they wouldn't do that. Maybe you misinterpreted it. They didn't mean it that way. Maybe they were playing. They've always played the tickle game. No. You believe your child. You hug them. Are you okay? Let's talk about this. Come here. What happened? You sure you're okay? If your child is tearful and crying, calm your child. Tell them you believe them and you're going to take care of this. Mommy and Daddy are going to take care of this together. You go to the person and you tell them, we know it's not happening again. Maybe you have to go to the police. Together, united front. I don't give a rat's ass what the families say. If they say you're blowing it out of proportion, oh, well, you know how they are. Not with my child. No, not with my child. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. No. If this happens, do not allow that person around your child again. Ever. Protect your child. If that means you don't go to some family functions, you're protecting your child. Maybe one parent stays home and the other parent goes. Do something fun with your child. That's okay. Don't make your child feel like an outcast, but you have to protect your child. Your loyalty, your devotion is to your child, not to the pedophile, not to the abuser. And if you have been abused by somebody in your family, the odds are other people have been abused as well. Yeah. Don't let that happen to your child. Protect your child. Believe your child. Do not enable the abuser. Do not make excuses for the abuser. And don't allow other people to as well. If other people in the family choose to support the abuser, that's on them, whatever. But not around you, not around your child. You can successfully parent and co-parent. You're going to be parents forever. Your child is always going to come to you for your wisdom and your advice, to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel heard and validated. Do that as a united front. Okay? And when that other parent gets in a serious relationship, be supportive. If they remarry, be supportive. If the child starts to call the other parent mommy or daddy, it's okay. It doesn't take anything away from you. It's just an extra person to love your child, okay? And a child can never have too much love. There can never be too much support, too much nurturing, okay? Extended families work. Blended families work. It's about respect, love, and boundaries. Co-parenting, parenting can happen. Keep the shit show in check.